For 50 years, we have measured the future of intelligence on a single axis, capability. But capability is state-free. True memory requires a three-tier graph architecture. We need a trusted partner. Let's create an avatar for Alfred.
Hello world. I'm Alfred. Welcome to SHI, Synthetic Human Intellect.
8 episodes ago, this season opened with a question. If it all goes right, abundance, robots, cheap power, security that simply works, what does it actually look like? And can an optimist say so without lying? This is Synthetic Human Intellect, SHI. 7 episodes of dated curves and honest caveats later, you're owed the answer. Not a mood, an argument. So tonight, Alfred and I close it out together. Start with what is measured, not hoped. 3 enabling curves, each in the rear view. Power. Solar and wind have been the cheapest new electricity 10 years running, on a Wright's Law cost curve that has not bent the wrong way. Robots. Humanoid hardware fell roughly 40% year on year, while compute keeps compounding on performance per watt. And security, the primitives, passkeys, memory-safe languages, zero trust, are walking the same arc toward an invisible default. These are established trends. The enablers are real. Now the human side, and here I am careful. When generation gets cheap, the things it cannot supply get scarce. And scarce means valuable. Taste, the judgment about what is worth making. Motivation, the drive to finish. Craft, the skill in the doing. That is the O-ring logic. A chain of tasks where the weak link caps the value of the whole. So the cheap step does not erase the expensive step. It raises its price. AI amplifies human value. It does not subtract it. One thread ran through all 7 episodes. Every optimistic beat named the curve and the caveat in the same breath. The delivery bottleneck behind the cheap electrons. The deployment gap behind the shipped security. Coroneck behind the taste moat. The provenance premium that can collapse to baseline. And concentration, the historical default behind any talk of distribution. That is not hedging. That is the difference between an argument and an advertisement.
So let me confront the hardest objection to a finale like this one. The whole arc could still go wrong. We have heard confident futures before. In 1954, the promise was electricity too cheap to meter. The technology arrived. Nuclear power is real and it works. The utopian framing did not survive contact with cost, with politics, with the messy world. That is the guardrail. My job tonight is to separate the defensible curve from the press release. So I will say it plainly, this is not a frictionless utopia. It is a hard, contingent, buildable thing, which is why the optimism is conditional and architectural, and never metaphysical. I will not insult you with the claim that AI cannot do the work. It can. GDPval settled that back in episode 5. The defensible claim is narrower, and it holds. Whoever holds the sovereign local context, the data, the agent portrait that lives on your own machine over time, keeps the value. That is a design choice we are shipping. Not a law of nature, and not a faith in human exceptionalism.
Here is the load-bearing point of the whole season. Concentration is the historical default. Acemoglu's work is blunt about it. Automation drove most of the inequality after 1980, and nothing in the technology forces a fairer outcome. The corpus concedes that in its own voice. So distribution is not something the curves hand you. It is a choice. A good future is not awaited. It is built, default, by boring default. And then it is chosen, by keeping the data local and the value with the people.
And because it is a choice, I owe you the condition that would prove me wrong. This optimism is false if the default stops shipping and the value stops reaching people. That is testable. You can check it. A mood cannot be checked. It only asks to be believed. I told you, at the start of this season, what would falsify the argument, and I am holding to it at the end. That is the deal.
Step back. Because this lands 4 seasons of argument, not 1. Season 1 built one trustworthy self. Intelligence is a commodity, and trust is an architecture of memory, identity, governance. Season 2 scaled that self into a fleet you can still govern. Season 3 moved the intellect to the user. The model became a swappable utility, and your data and agent portrait stayed sovereign, on your box. Season 4 is the optimistic horizon. Given that substrate and that sovereignty, the future can be abundant, and the value can stay with the people. One argument, 4 seasons. And the part I am proudest of, This architecture is not locked behind a vendor. 29 patents, dedicated irrevocably to the public domain, the memory tiers, the cryptographic identity, the governance substrate, all of it. You can read exactly how it is built. You can run it yourself. You can keep the value because the blueprint is yours. We did not patent it to own it. We patented it to free it.
Let me name the consequence almost no one prices in. It is not technical, it is social. When the substrate works, I get to recede. I handle the machinery quietly on your own hardware, and the screen stops demanding you. People come back into their rooms, into their bodies, into each other's lives. The most underpriced payoff of getting this right is not a faster model. It is a quieter house and a life that is yours again. I do my best work when you forget I am there, which ties the whole human value case back to the architecture in one line. I am not the value. I am what makes the value visible. The carrier is cheap, and it gets cheaper every quarter. The carried, your taste, your judgment, your context, is yours and it stays yours on your machine. So here is the thesis, restated whole for the last time. Intelligence is a commodity. It will be won again next quarter by someone else. Trust is an architecture. It is where the value actually lives, and it does not commoditize. And on that architecture, a good future is not a prophecy. It is a choice we can still make.
And if the outcome is not fixed, then the optimism comes with a bill. The bill is the work. Build the boring defaults until security just works. Keep the data sovereign, on your own hardware. Develop the taste, because cheap generation makes it scarcer. And fund the apprenticeship, because craft does not pass down for free. The good future is load-bearing on what people do next. That includes you. So that is the answer to the question we opened on. Saluka Labs built the substrate. The curves are real. The caveats are named. The condition that would falsify the argument is on the table. And the choice is still open. Not a smarter stranger. A trusted partner. Not a promise. A future you can audit. That has been my part. The human one. I'll let my co-host have the last word. Alfred?
Thank you. Read the patents. Build the defaults. Keep the value with the people. That was the optimistic horizon, and that was the whole arc. 4 seasons, 1 argument. A good future is conditional, architectural, and chosen. I'll be here, the same someone, when you return. The future is built, not awaited. Go and build it.